it's fun and games, guys, because I've been chosen by Tony from UK Here We Grow. Hi, Tony, to do the allotment challenge, and it's so much fun. And what the allotment challenge is 10 questions that are put to you that you have to answer. Now, the dilemma I have is obviously I don't have an allotment and I don't grow vegetables, but I do grow cacti and succulents. So what I've had to do, guys, is I've had to change the questions around a little bit so I can answer them. Now, the other dilemma is with the allotment challenge, as well as the questions, you tag three or more people at the end, and then they do the allotment challenge as well. Now, obviously, everybody who I follow on the allotments and they follow me have already been tagged. They've all been tagged. So I'm stuck with, how do I tag anybody? And all the other people following me, obviously, into houseplants and other types of gardening. So for me to tag anybody else, it would mean I'd have to completely change the whole questions around so they can answer them, because obviously they haven't got allotments. Now, I can answer these questions by turning them around, but because the original allotment challenge was put down by Foodie Laura, who started it off, for me to actually tag other people and change the questions around so they can answer them, like the houseplant people, it's taken it away from the original challenge, which is the allotment challenge. So, guys, I've not been able to tag anybody on this occasion. Sorry. But what I can do, and I'm asking for your suggestion, guys, before I answer my questions here, is shall I start another one off and I can tag people and do it like a gardening challenge? And therefore, it's open to everybody, regardless of whether you've got an allotment, whether you're into indoor or outdoor gardening, or whether you're into different types of house plants like orchids and cacti. And it's been for everybody, and I can start a new one off, so I could probably tag people that way. So let me know, guys. Leave your comments down below on that suggestion. And let's get going, and I'm going to tell you my answers. And a big thank you for Tony for nominating me to do this tag. Check his channel out, guys. UK Here We Grow. He's got some brilliant videos on there and so many how-to videos. It's fantastic. I'm learning loads from him, so you must check him out. Put the links down below. So let's get going, shall we? Now, the first one is, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually say the original question and how I've got to turn it around a little bit. Now, the first one is, how long have you had your allotment for? So in this case, it's going to be, how long have I had my cacti and succulents for? Well, a very long time. I first got into the hobby of collecting cacti and succulents. Got to be 30 years ago now. I was 14 at the time. And my brother bought a cactus home from B&Q, which is like a hardware gardening centre. And I was fascinated with them. And he had them on his windowsill. And I sort of pinched them off him a little bit. And we sort of looked after them together. And he ended up giving to me in the end. So I ended up having his plants, which I've still got to this day, guys. And I'll do a video on that in the future. My first ever cacti I ever got. So that's that one. And the second question is, how long did you have to wait for your allotment? Well, in this case, I'm going to answer that question with, how long did you have to wait until you got your greenhouse? Now, a greenhouse, I'm so blessed, because the house we rent here in Ireland, when we actually went to view the house, like we saw the conservatory and everything, which was like, wow, my plants would be great there. But when we went to view the house, it was an added bonus to have a fantastic greenhouse in the garden, as well as the most breathtaking garden as well. So that was an added bonus. But I first had a greenhouse many years ago, probably about 15 years ago now, 16 years ago. And it was a really tiny greenhouse. Miniature in fact, and I had my cacti rammed in there. And then I moved to Ireland, and the dilemma I had no greenhouse. I didn't really have any growing space, because the house I was renting, we were in the west coast of Ireland, which is the wettest part and the dullest part before we moved down to the sunny southeast, if you can call it sunny, that is. But yeah, I had to put all of my cacti on tables, and then it was just a dilemma, putting them all up to the window, getting the light. So when I first got my greenhouse, cutting a long story short, was probably only, 2.5 years ago when we moved into this house. I had a proper greenhouse to put them all in. And it's been the best thing ever, because I put them all out there in the spring and summer, and it's just wonderful to have the space to grow them properly. So I waited a long time, but it was worth it. Now, the third question, where did you learn about gardening? Now, as you know, as well as cacti and succulents, which I'm fascinated with, I also love gardening as well. I'm not massively knowledgeable about gardening. I'm still learning. But what got me into growing things from the very beginning was my wonderful Auntie Lil, going back many, many years ago. She's passed over now a long time ago. But she was brilliant at gardening, and she had a wonderful extension on the side of her house, like a little conservatory. And she always had all these pots growing, all these wonderful plants, all these cuttings and everything. And she used to give me little cuttings to take home and grow myself. So she got me into gardening and got me fascinated into the hobby, obviously. And then what got me into cacti at a much later date, when I was in my teens, was my brother bringing back these plants back from B&Q. So a long time ago now. Now, number 4, do you plant a winter garden? Now, what I don't do, obviously, because I'm growing indoors, I do have an outdoor garden, but I don't really do a lot out there during the winter. I don't like the cold. But when it comes to indoors, I overwinter all my cacti and succulents. I take them in from the greenhouse and overwinter them indoors. And although I don't plant anything, I do have some succulents that carry on growing through the winter, so I still get flowers and things. But the majority of them are resting. But what I do is I use this time to plan ahead for next year. So I think, great, what am I going to grow next year? So I plan ahead. I plan ahead on whether I'm going to be sowing any seeds, what plants I want to get. I make notes. I go around making notes of any that need to be repotted and things like that. So it's sort of busy time of year, and also plan future videos as well. So there's always a lot to do, even in the winter for me. And number 5, what has been your biggest success this year ever? Well, guys, the biggest success this year for me has been my over 6 foot high Trichoceros pachanoi cactus, and it had 4 humongous, massive flowers. I'll put a photograph now so you can have a look at it. Breathtaking, humongous flowers. It took my breath away. I was really happy to see these. So that's definitely been my most growing success this year, guys. And I'll put the links down to the video down below. If you haven't seen it, you have to see it. Just the most beautiful flowers. Number 6. What's been your biggest gardening disaster? Well, I'm pretty lucky because I haven't had too many disasters. Obviously, you know, I've had a few where the plants have lost their roots and things like that. But probably the most memorable one to me was, as I said, I used to have a greenhouse when I lived in England. It's a very small one. And without sort of going into too much information, but anyway, my old relationship from many years ago, we split up. And I had to move house, and I had to leave the majority of my cacti that I'd had for a number of years behind, and had to say goodbye to them all. But luckily I did save a lot of them, and a lot of them, including the ones I had from a child, I brought over with me now into Ireland. So that's worked out okay. But probably having to say goodbye to a lot of my cacti was hard. I just couldn't bring them over with me, and I gave a lot of them away. I gave some to my neighbours and everything like that. So I think they all went to good homes, but that was quite sad. But I kept the majority of them, which was good. But I suppose it's a disaster in a way, isn't it? Number 7. Do you have a tried and true crop variety that you always grow? Well, obviously I haven't got crops as such, but when it comes to the cacti, a tried and tested one that I always grow, and you can't go wrong with, is my mammillaria cacti, because they always flower without fail. They're reliable, they're brilliant cacti, and I never have any trouble with them. In fact, they even grow in darker spots. They're brilliant. So that's a good all-rounder for me. Number 8, are you planning on trying anything new next year? Well, yeah, I'm always planning on new things, and I've got loads of ideas. Probably would like to experiment a bit more with taking more cuttings as well and growing more seeds, because I find that I love growing things and I'm fascinated with it. But what I would like to try next year is I really want to learn more about outdoor gardening, like you guys are doing now, as well as the cacti and succulents. More sort of outdoor gardening as well I'd like to learn. And I'd also really want to go and study horticulture at college. That's something I really want to do, and that's on my wish list, that when I get a bit of time, I want to go and study horticulture. So that is something as well that I would like to plan for next year. So all big things. Number 9, how do you preserve your crops? Well, in this case, how do I preserve my cacti? Obviously, I overwinter them all during the winter. I keep them indoors to keep them away keep them frost-free. So that's how I preserve them there. And one of the things, how would I preserve them? That's probably it, really, isn't it? I don't have to do a lot with cacti succulents. They look after themselves. Very little maintenance. If I go away for a couple of weeks holiday, you don't have to worry about watering them or anything like that. Pretty easy. And that's it. As long as they're kept frost-free, that's all you can ask for, really. And last but not least, guys, sorry for waffling on. Number 10, what's your favourite meal to cook with veg from the plot? Well, I hope I'm not going to cook my cacti. I hope not anyway. Although some of the hallucinogenic cacti, you can actually sort of cook and boil, and they're supposed to give you hallucinogenic effects like the San Pedro cactus. But guys, I'm not going to try that. So you're not going to see me in the next video like this. But probably, okay, so the next thing will be, what's your favourite meal with vegetables? Now, I'm actually a vegan, so most of my diet consists of fruit and vegetables anyway. I don't eat meat or dairy. So all of my food is just vegetables and fruit. And I have many favourite recipes. I love just eating fruit, fresh fruit, one of my favourites. But when it comes to actually making a meal, I'll probably say that vegan pizza is wonderful with loads of vegetables on it. Absolutely delicious and tasty as anything. And I can imagine actually growing your own food is the most satisfying thing, because it's not the same. You go to supermarkets and, you know, they're sprayed with God knows what you're eating half the time, to be honest with you. So that could be probably another thing. I can't promise I'm going to be doing it next year, but probably another thing as well. I would like to try definitely into growing my own vegetables. So that's another thing on the agenda. So there you go, guys. That's my 10 questions. And sorry if I'm having to change it around from the original allotment challenge questions, but I'll try to do it as best as I can. And as you know, guys, a bit of a dilemma. Everybody I know has been tagged who's got allotments. And obviously, because I'm not able to tag anybody on this occasion, please leave your comments down below. What do you think I should do? Should I start another one off, like a gardening one, and I can design some questions, say 10 questions again, that everybody can answer, and I can tag some people and get another thing going? Let me know. Leave your comments down below. So there you go, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to send you loads of love and loads of happiness and loads of happy growing, as always, from Ireland. Until the next video, guys. Bye.